Hey, how you doing? My name is Jamie Turner. This is In 60, where in 60 seconds, I'm going to talk to you about a tool, tip, or technique you can use in order to improve your career or grow your sales and revenues. Let's get started with influencer marketing. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the #1 mistake people make with influencer marketing. But let's start off with some statistics that might be of interest to you. Vamp did a research study where they found out that 61% of those surveyed said they engage with an influencer on any given day. Wow, that's pretty big news. The same survey found out that 87% of those surveyed bought a product or service based on influencer input. So we know influencer marketing works. The problem is, if you're a marketer and you're trying to figure out how to get into influencer marketing, you might be focusing on the wrong thing. Here's what I mean. A lot of marketers are interested with influencers on the breadth rather than the depth of their engagement. Breadth is how many followers that influencer has, and believe it or not, that's not what you should be focusing on. What you should be focusing on is depth of engagement that that influencer has with their audience. The deeper the engagement goes, the more bang for the buck you're gonna get from the engagement. So focus on depth of engagement when you're trying to figure out an influencer to work with, rather than breadth. Okay, if you like what you've heard so far, I got 8 more tips, 7, 8, 9, 10, I forget how many tips more for you. Stick around, let's dive in, and we'll talk about the other tips that you can use in influencer marketing to help grow your sales and revenues. Let's get started. Okay, I've already given you tip #1, which was to focus on depth rather than breadth. Here's tip #2, check the analytics of the influencers you're thinking about working with. There's a great tool out there called Social Blade that you can use in order to track the influencers' engagement with their followers and also figure out how many followers they have, and a lot of different analytics. They give you a neat little dashboard that gives you a grade on that influencer to help you understand whether or not that influencer would be a good fit for your brand. Tip #3, before hiring an influencer, track their activity using Agorapulse. Now, you know that I'm a big fan of Agorapulse. Not only do they sponsor In 60, but I also use them on a daily basis in order to deploy my social media campaigns. But they have a valuable tool on Agorapulse that goes beyond that you can use if you're thinking about getting into the influencer marketing game. It's a listening tool where you can go in and start following influencers and listen in on their conversations to figure out whether or not they're a fit for your brand. So use Agorapulse in order to listen in on the influencers and figure out whether or not they're going to be able to grow your sales and revenues. Which leads me to tip #4 right there. Tip #4 is micro-influencers achieve an average of 7 times more engagement than influencers with large followings. That means that on average, if you're a micro-influencer, somebody with 10,000, 20,000, 30,000 followers, you're going to be engaged with your followers 7 times more frequently than the big influencers are. Now that can have a major impact on your business, because if you engage with a micro influencer, instead of spending a ton of money to engage with one of the big influencers, you're engaging with a micro influencer, you're gonna get more bang for your buck in that engagement. Tip #5. Tip #5. If you have zero budget, consider an affiliate relationship with the influencer. That means that instead of paying them with money, you're paying them a slice of the action. For every product that you sell, they get a slice of the action. Here's why it might work out for you. First of all, you don't have to have a big budget in order to establish an affiliate relationship. But secondly, in an affiliate relationship, that influencer then says, the more I promote that product or service, the more money I make. Ka-ching, they like that, you like that, everybody likes that. So if you don't have a big budget, think about using an affiliate relationship instead of a traditional relationship, and that might be the solution that you're looking for. Tip #6, instead of hiring an influencer with a lot of followers, hire an influencer with expertise in your industry. Here's the best way to explain what I'm talking about here. If, let's say that you make tennis rackets, you're trying to find an influencer to work with, you have 2 choices. One is an influencer with 1 million followers. The other is an influencer with 100,000 followers. Now that other influencer happens to be a tennis pro who's gonna be at Wimbledon next year. The big 1 million person influencer, guess what? they never even play tennis. If you're looking for a way to engage with your prospects and your customers in an authentic way, then you're going to want to use that influencer who has expertise in your field, because they can talk about things with a lot more authenticity and genuineness in terms of how they're engaging with your product or service and how they're engaging with their fans. Tip number 7, be sure you have an offer in most of the campaigns you run. Influencer marketing campaigns usually are one of two kinds, the branding kind or the direct response kind. They're both important. Branding should be maybe 50% of what you do, which is really just building awareness through the influencer so that people are aware of your link to that influencer and are aware of your product or service. The other half of what you do should be direct response oriented. That should drive people through to your website so they can buy your product or service on the website. Both kinds of campaigns are important, but if you do the direct response kind of campaign, you want to make sure that you're using a campaign that has an offer in it. An offer has to be something like get 10% off by clicking this link now, free trial for 14 days. It doesn't matter, whatever the offer is, it has to be part of it in order to drive clicks through to your website. Tip number 8, use branded links in order to increase the click-through rate by up to 39%. Now, this was a study done by Rebrandly. Rebrandly is actually a link shortening company that can go in and do branded links. So for example, you might have Virgin as your link, or you might have Pepsi as your link, or the New York Times has NY Times as their link. This is one of the ways that people have been able to increase the click-through rate on the links that they put in their social media posts through the influencer. So if you're interested in trying to test your way to success and see if those kinds of things work, use branded links and you might find a 39% increase in your click-through rate just by using a branded link. Okay, we've covered a lot of ground today. I'm gonna do a quick recap for you. Point number 1, focus on depth instead of breadth. Point number 2, check the analytics of the influencers you're considering working with. Point number 3, before hiring an influencer, track their activity using Agorapulse so you can listen in on what they're doing and figure out if it's a fit for you. Point number 4, if you have zero budget for an influencer, consider using an affiliate relationship. Those often work. Point number 5, instead of hiring an influencer with a lot of followers, hire an influencer with expertise in your industry. You'll get much better results that way. And then point number 6, use branded links in order to increase clicks by as much as 39%. Now, I hope all those tips worked for you. My name is Jamie Turner. This has been In 60. If you want to subscribe, hit the subscribe button down below or hit the bell so that you get notified next time we upload one of these episodes. Most of all, leave a comment down below. We love to hear from you. Find out what you're doing on the influencer marketing front, what's working, what's not working, or just ask any old question because I'd be happy to answer it. My name is Jamie Turner. This is In 60, and I'll catch you next time.